Hello. Welcome. Good evening. Let's get clipped in here. All right. So, this is our first level 3 class that we're going to do. This one is going to be pretty tough. And I know I've said that in the last couple of posts that I've put up, whether it be like the end of the last live, hey Katie, whether it was the end of the last live where I put it up in the post with just the reminder that we were coming on tonight. So yeah, this one's going to be pretty tough. There's not going to be a huge amount of instruction. So mostly the reason for that is that I'm going to be out of breath. Yeah. So what I will say is that you'll probably want to have a strap or a belt or something. That's going to be a good thing to have next to you. There will be a point in this that you might want to have a strap. That's what I'm going to say. Now, what you should know, if you're here to practice, what you should know is you should know how to do a vinyasa. You should know that a vinyasa is the combination of chaturanga up dog to down dog. You should know the basics of warrior postures. I'm not going to really go through much foot placement or very much alignment in postures. When we move into postures that aren't as common, I'll give you some guidance, excuse me, guidance in the way of like your hand is going to go here and this leg is going to lift up, but that kind of might be it. So you will have me as kind of like a mannequin to show you where you're going. So, look up at the screen if you need to, that will help. And I will go ahead and apologize now for any heavy breathing that you get through the microphone, because that might happen. That's very, very well to happen. When we go into, I'm going to give options for arm balances and for at least one inversion headstand. When I give those options, it's up to you whether you take them or not. They will be options. So I'll probably go into the majority of them, depending on how my body feels halfway through the practice. But you can skip them. You can, if I give a variation or if I give an option for an arm balance or an inversion, and you're like, no, I'm not going to do that, just stay in the posture before it. Because chances are we'll either come back to that or we'll transition, you'll be able to transition easily to the next posture after that, so that should be fine. So just be aware of that throughout the practice tonight. Modify where you need to. I'm not going to be giving your modifications to you. I do expect that if you're here to practice, then you know how to modify when it's necessary for your body. And I think that's it. So good luck. Don't worry, you'll get through it. The good thing about this is you can take a rest whenever you need it, and you don't have anybody around you judging you when you do that. Maybe cats. There might be cats around you. So yeah, make sure you've got a strap, as I said before, and we're going to get started. Here we go. We are going to begin in child's pose. Not much of a surprise there. Child's pose, please. Knees to the mat, hips back towards your heels, and the upper body comes down. Just 5 breaths here. Once your breaths are completed, you're coming up into tabletop position. Take your time. Taking a moment to find some grounding in your palms. And then moving through 5 cow and cat tilts just to waken up your spine. Inhaling to cow, dropping the belly, lifting the chest. Exhaling cat, rounding the spine, engaging the belly. And again, inhales are opening the front, and exhales closing the front. 3 more. Once you've completed your final exhale, come back to neutral, inhale. And then preparing your first down dog. When you're ready, tuck the toes, lift the knees, and reach back. You've got 5 breaths here. If you need it, take some movement. Otherwise, just remain in stillness and explore a little bit with your breath. When you're ready, use your next inhale to come to the top of the mat. So looking forwards and just tiptoeing your feet forward, shifting some weight into your hands as you come to the top of the mat. Feet eventually under the hips, separated a couple inches. Knees bend a bit. Relax the upper body. Any options here, grabbing the elbows if you'd like. A little movement again if you need it. And then come back to stillness if you chose movement. Release the arms if you bound. And then roll up. Take your time. Let the head stay heavy. The head is the very last thing to lift. Feet can heel toe towards one another. Arms reaching down by your sides. Deep breath. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, arms down by your sides. Again, inhale, reach. Exhale, arms come down. Surya Namaskara A, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Fold. Inhale, flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. Chaturanga, exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet back, knees up or down, bending the elbows. Cobra or up dog, inhale, lift the chest. Downward facing dog, exhale. 3 breaths. The final exhale brings you back a little deeper. Inhale, look forward, step or jump between the hands. Lifting the chest halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, left leg lunges back. Left palm is down, right arm reaches up, twist. So your right leg is forwards, right arm is up. One more. Downward facing dog. Exhale, right hand down, right foot to the back of your mat. Here you're going to scoop through into upward facing dog. So keep your hips high for as long as possible. Look forwards. Think about your chest coming just down between your wrists as you pass through. Inhale, bend the elbows, scoop all the way through and up into upward face. Downward face. Exhale, pull back. Crescent lunge. Inhale, right foot between the hands. Right leg is forwards, both arms overhead. Ground and reach. Take one more. Uttanasana fold. Exhale, hands down, left foot up to meet the right. Other side. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, plant the palms, right leg lunges back. So your left foot is forwards now. Your left arm reaches up. When you're ready, down dog. Left hand down, left foot goes back. Again, scooping through into upward facing dog. Hips high for as long as possible. Look forwards. Inhale, chest comes down, through, and then up. Down dog, exhale. Crescent lunge, left foot forwards. Arms overhead. One more here. Into your fold. Exhale, hands down, right foot up to meet the left. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. to standing with a flat back this time. Inhale, lift the chest, continue all the way up, lift the arms, lift your gaze. Exhale, arms by your sides. We're going to move through Surya Namaskara B here. You will have the option to take Bakasana crow pose, which will be your first arm balance of the practice. It will come after chair pose. So we will do inhale to Utkatasana, bending the knees, sweep the arms, chair pose. Exhale to fold. Inhale, flat back. And at that point, you'll either jump straight back and move through your Vinyasa, or you will take Bakasana for a breath and then move through your Vinyasa. Again, the choice is up to you. I'm taking Bakasana, so I'll talk you through that variation. Otherwise, just skip it and go straight back to down dog, and we will meet you there. Take a deep breath. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Just kidding. Bring the arms back down by your sides. Utkatasana, chair pose. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms. There it is. Exhale, fold. Hinge at the hips, hands towards the mat. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest, either a Vinyasa or Bakasana. If you're taking Bakasana, palms down, knees onto the triceps. Don't want to take my mic back with me. Shifting forwards to your hands, toes float. Moving through your Vinyasa. When you're ready, stepping or jumping back to Chaturanga. Inhaling, Cobra or Up Dog. Exhaling back. So everybody's in down dog, warrior one. Left heel spins into 45 degrees. Right foot is between the hands. Both arms overhead. Take a breath. Find the hips, grounding to your back foot, spinning your left hip forwards. Down dog or a Vinyasa. Hands down, right foot back. Use your breath. Other side. Warrior one. Right heel in, left foot forwards, arms lift. Down dog or Vinyasa. Two more breaths here. Coming to the top of the mat on an inhale, step or float. Back to chair pose. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms up. Utkatasana. To standing on an exhale, all the way up, arms by your sides. Well done. Now the warm-up's done. Good job. Through Surya Namaskara A, just to bring us back to downward facing dog. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Fold, exhale. Flat back, inhale. Chaturanga, exhale. Cobra or Up Dog. Down dog. Warrior two. Left heel spins in. The right foot steps between the hands. Arms windmill open. So your back foot is going to be turned out a little bit more now. Your hips are open. Front knee is out over your pinky toe. Deep breath. Extended side angle. Exhale, right forearm onto your thigh. Left arm reaches overhead to the front wall or whatever is in front of you. First option, stay. Second option, you can bring your right hand to the mat. We will be coming back to this posture and going deeper, so you don't have to take it to its fullest extent if you have something else just yet. I'll take you there in a few moments. Take two more here. Last one. Back to warrior two. Inhale, lift up. Straighten your front leg, Trikonasana. Inhale, reach forwards through your right arm. Right fingers to the front wall. Right hip pulls back. Exhale, right hand to your right leg somewhere, left arm overhead. First option, stay. Second option, Ardha Chandrasana. Gaze down, bend the front knee. Right fingers about a foot out in front of your toes on a block if needed. Back leg floats. Last one. Warrior two. Wherever you're coming from, bend your front knee, back foot is grounded, left arm pulls you up. Back to extended side angle, right forearm to the thigh, left arm overhead. First option, stay. You might need your strap for this because we are moving into a bind. So grab your strap if you know that you're gonna need it. Right hand to the mat or to a block. You can skip the bind if you'd like to. If you're taking it, right arm underneath your right leg, left hand behind the back taking a hold. If you're using a strap, put it in your top hand and let it drop behind you. Take a hold of it with your bottom arm. Take one more here. Keep the bind straight in your front leg. Start to drive your right knee back. So this is a bound triangle pose, bound Trikonasana. It might not get all the way straight, but it is driving back, keeping your bind. Take one more. Back to Ardha Chandrasana. Maybe it has a bind, maybe it doesn't. Take your time. Gaze down, bend the front knee. Back toes maybe step forwards a little bit this time. Keep lifting your chest, keep a strong hold. Back toes maybe float. Warrior two, bend the front knee, left foot steps back, reach the top arm up. Down dog or vinyasa. Exhale, hands down. Right foot steps back. Skip it if you need to. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Other side. Right heel in, warrior two. Left foot forwards, arms windmill open. Extended side angle. Left forearm to your thigh, right arm overhead. Again, if you dropped that front hand, that bottom hand on the first side, you can do it again, but you might not need to. Coming back up to warrior two. Inhale, lift up through that back arm. Trikonasana, straighten the front leg. Inhale, reach forwards through the left fingers. Exhale, left hand down, right arm up. Create length, create opening. Ardha Chandrasana, if you're taking the balance, gaze down, bend your front knee, left fingers in front of the toes, back leg floats. Back to warrior two, bend the front knee, right foot is grounded, right arm pulls you up. Back to extended side angle, forearm down, right arm overhead. Setting up your bind. Start by taking the left hand down, getting that depth in your upper body. Next, find your bind, left arm underneath, right hand behind you. Take a couple breaths there, focusing on your top shoulder, rolling back. Let that chest open. Then start to straighten the front leg. Finding your balance. When you're ready, again, modify where you need to. If you need to release the bind, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, keep it. Back toes maybe step forwards a little bit as you come into that front leg. When you've had enough, release back to warrior two. As you can see from my own demonstration, one side might have been different than the other side. Down dog or vinyasa. When you're ready, exhale, hands down, left foot back. If you're taking the vinyasa, chaturanga. Cobra or up dog. Downward facing dog. Child's pose. When you are ready, downward facing dog. Crescent lunge, right foot between the hands, both arms overhead. From here, Take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers. Find a little chest opening. Don't let this collapse into your lower back. Keep the belly strong. Reach back through the knuckles, pulling the arms towards your heels. The chest might lift a little higher. Coming into Digasana with this bind here. I'm going to shift back a little bit so that you guys can keep seeing me as I go forwards here. So hinge through the hip, bring your chest forwards, shift into your front leg, back toes eventually float. You can release the bind if you need to. First option, stay. Second option, if you still have the bind behind your back, your final option for your balance is to take the bind further, bend your floating leg, slide that toe inside of your hand and kick. If you've got any binds, release them. Back into your lunge, bend the standing leg, left foot steps back. Preparing side plank, set your your right hand onto the mat. So the same hand as your front foot. Spin onto the heel, spin your heel in on your back foot. Right leg can either step back to join the left, or it can float out in front of you. Final option, a variation of Vishvamitrasana. Your top hand takes a hold of the outside of your right foot. Start to pull your right foot forwards. When you've had enough, down dog or a vinyasa. Other side. Left foot between the hands. Crescent lunge, arms lift. Find your bind, hands behind you. Again, belly stay strong to support your lower back. Interlace the fingers, reach back through the knuckles, let the chest open. Finding your balance. Hinge forwards in the hip, shift into your front leg, back toes eventually float. Chest is still open, chest hasn't dropped. Keep the shoulder blades squeezing together. First option, stay. Next option, find your further bind, bending your back knee, toes inside of your bind, and then kick. If you have any binds, release them. Back to your lunge, bend the standing leg, right toes back. Left hand to the mat. The back heel spins in. Right arm reaches up. Find side plank. Whatever variation you took on the first side. If you took that bind, your top hand takes the outside of your floating foot and pulls it forwards. Releasing when you're ready. Child's pose. When you are ready, downward facing dog. Inhale the left foot steps between the hands, and then pivot over into a straddle. Walk your hands to the right and spin your toes in. Excuse the view here. From here, pushing into the outer edges of your feet, inhale, flat back, lengthen. Exhale, fold, hands towards the mat. You can walk your fingertips back here. If you have another arm variation, you're welcome to find it. Take a couple breaths. If you have it, and it will be controlled and safe for you to do so, you are welcome to go into tripod headstand here. If you're going there, take your time. If you're floating, prepare to come back down. Everybody inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Samokhanasana, start to heel toe your feet apart. Coming into box splits, I think these are called, side splits maybe. You can stay on your hands, you can drop to the forearms, whatever works. Trying to get into your inner thighs, into your groin. 2 more here. Then inhale, lift the chest, come out of that just a little bit if you went in pretty deep. And then you're coming into Hanumanasana to the back of your mat. So turn your right toes back, spin your left toes in, and then drop your left knee to the mat here. Please excuse me, I've gotten a little tangled in my wire here. There we go. So front leg is straight, back knee can be down. Front ankle is flexed. You can stay here working on the fold. You can lengthen your stance if you would like to, letting your heel slide back, back knee walk away from you. 3 to 5 breaths. And then you're transitioning to the other side. So walk yourself out. You might need to shorten your stance a little bit, but you might not as well. Lift your back knee up and then just pivot 180 degrees. I'm not going to go all the way because I will once again tangle myself in my wire, excuse me. 180 degrees all the way back around to the front of your mat. Right knee sets down, left leg is straight, left ankle is flexed. Stay or lengthen and or fold. When you've had enough, down dog or a vinyasa. Come all the way through into plank. Inhale, shift forwards, and then onto your belly. Exhale, lower to the mat. Now, from here, keep the hands back. You're coming up into Cobra Pose. Push down through the tops of the feet. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Inhale, lift your chest. See if you can float your hands, making sure that your back muscles are doing the work and not your arms here. 1 more. Then release. Drop the head, release the arms back by your sides, and let your left ear come onto the mat so your gaze drops out to the right. Please excuse the microphone for these next few postures, because it probably will be lying on the mat a few times. And then bring your gaze back to the center. You can leave the hands on the mat, but flip the palms up, flip the palms down so they're pressing down into the mat. Palms stay connected to the mat. See if you can bring your heels and toes to touch. Reach through the toes. Start to lift your chest first. Peel the shoulder blades together. Then the legs lift up behind you as well. Getting your thighs off the mat. Not just bending the knees to get your feet high, but lifting the knees and the thighs as well. 2 more. And then release. Relax. Turn your left ear onto the mat. Release. You can flip the palms back up again so the shoulders relax a little bit. And then bring the gaze back to center. First option, do one of the things that you've already done. Either go back to Cobra or do that variation of locust pose Shavasana with the palms down on the mat. Second option, legs do the same thing, toes and heels touch. Interlace the fingers, this time behind you. If you're taking that bind, reach back through the knuckles. Everybody inhale, lift your chest, then reach the legs up. Maybe 1 more. Release. Left ear sets down to the mat. Back to the center. First option, one of the 3 options you've already taken. Second option, Dhanurasana bow pose. If you're taking Dhanurasana, bend the knees, reach back, take a hold of your ankles with your hands. See if you can actually get the ankles rather than just the tops of the feet so that you can then flex the ankles, adding a little bit of engagement into the legs. Start to kick. If you're taking one of the first variations, go for it. You know how to get there. If you're taking this bind, kick back, pulling the toes towards the mat behind you, then kick up pulling the heels towards the ceiling, letting the chest open. When you've had enough, you can release. Your right ear to the mat. Then bring the gaze back to the center. Hands slide underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes, either on the knees or the toes, coming up into plank. Down dog. Couple breaths. Then stepping through into lizard lunge. Your right foot is going to step to the outside of your right hand. You can drop your back knee onto the mat. This is a good opportunity to use blocks. If you've got them, you might need them either under your hands, or if you're taking this deeper, you can drop onto your forearms with a block underneath you if you can't quite reach the mat. Now you would like your front heel grounded, front knee right on top of that ankle if you're going there. Lengthen your spine, take another couple breaths. Your back knee can be lifted if you want a little bit more. Now, your first option is to stay where you are for a couple more breaths. Just enjoy that little bit of mobility in your hips. Second option is Vinyasa, which is an arm balance, another arm balance. If you're taking Vinyasa, you're going to start to work your right shoulder underneath your right thigh. This might be enough. This might be a whole lot of mobility for some of you. If that's the case, just stay there. Once you have that bit of depth for your shoulder, then you're going to start to lift your back knee. Start to bring the weight forwards into your hands. Kick forwards through the front heel. Back toes float. When you've had enough, down dog or Vinyasa. Please excuse the absolute butchering I just did of that transition. I was trying not to set a fire in my flat by kicking these candles over. When you're ready, set up the other side. Left foot to the outside of your left hand. Back knee can set down. And when you're ready, blocks if you need them. You can stay upright, or you can start to lower the upper body, getting a little bit deeper into your front hip. Bringing the hips lower is going to get more into your back hip. Bringing your upper body lower is going to get more into your front hip. First option, stay. Couple more breaths, enjoy it. Second option is your arm balance. If you're taking it, left shoulder underneath your left thigh. Hands to the mat, back knee lifts. When you're ready, shift the weight and float. Through Vinyasa. Once you've completed that Vinyasa, take your time if you're still getting through it. Coming all the way through into a seat. Inhale, step or float all the way up and through. Having a seat on the mat. Now you made it to the seat. There are some challenging things still to come. But congratulations for getting here, because I'm sweating quite a bit. So I can imagine that you are all as well. Now, bring your legs straight out in front. Preparing Janu Sirsasana. Go ahead, bend your right knee up towards you. Right knee bends. And then drop your right knee out to the side away from you, so that your right foot is now pushing into your left inner leg. Left leg actively pushing into the right foot. Inhale, lift up, reach forwards. Exhale, fold. Hinge hands to this leg somewhere. Shin, ankle, foot. Just 3 deep breaths. Back to the top. Inhale, lift up. The right knee comes back up towards you, setting up for a twist. Left leg stays strong. Keep kicking through that left heel. First option, left arm around the front of your right leg. Second option, left tricep over the knee to the outside of the leg. Make sure that this leg is pushing in to the arm and it's pushing out away from the body so that it's not just collapsing in. You want this right leg to be strong. Right hand then onto the mat behind you. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, twist. 3. Back to the center, inhale. Take your hands underneath your right foot, that right sole of the foot. Then lift your right foot up towards the front wall. Now your first option is just going to be to stay here, pulling that right knee back underneath your right armpit, getting a little bit more opening in your right hip. Second option is moving into compass pose. If you're moving into compass pose, take your left hand to the outside of your right foot. Then bring your right hand inside that gap. So you're going between the arm and the leg inside of your thigh. Then start to move your thigh, your knee, up on top of your shoulder. So you're hiking it up a little bit. Right hand back down onto the mat. Bottom leg is still strong. Start to kick through the right heel, bringing your gaze underneath the left shoulder. Now from here, you've got some options. First option is to ignore everything that I'm about to say and just stay exactly where you are because we're going to come back through into a seat in a moment. So that's your first option. Second option is more arm balances. Second option is just release all of that, go through a vinyasa. Final option is another arm balance, Ashtavakrasana. If you're taking Ashtavakrasana, hands come to the mat. Keep that right leg on top of your shoulder. Hands come to the mat. Your left ankle, that straight leg, now hooks on top of your right. Hook the ankles together. Start to lean forwards, elbows bend. Kick out through your heels and squeeze the thighs onto your right arm, lifting your hips up and kicking those heels out. Now from there, first option, just go straight back through your vinyasa. Release all of that, come into a seat, go straight back through your vinyasa. Final option is to return to Kunanyasana from Ashtavakrasana. If you're going there, keep pushing into your right thigh, pull that left foot behind you, and kick it back. Vinyasa, if you've not taken it already, and if you are going to take a vinyasa, moving yourself through. Woo! If you chose any variation of vinyasa, come all the way back through to a seat. Take your legs straight out in front. Because surprise, we have another side. Great thing about yoga is you have two sides of the body, so you get to do almost everything twice. Left knee bends, have Janusirsasana to start. Again, this is an active connection between your foot and your leg. Push them together. Inhale, lift and reach. Fold. Exhale. Coming back up to the top, inhale, lift. Keep the right leg as it is. Bring your left knee up towards you. Setting your twist. First option, right arm around the front of your leg. Second option, tricep to the outside of your thigh. Left hand behind you. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. 3 breaths. And then release back to the center. You're almost there, don't worry. So, hands underneath your left foot. Lift the left foot up. First option, stay. Pull that left knee back, getting that opening in your hip. Second option, compass pose. Right hand over to the outside of your left foot. Your left hand inside of the leg. Start to push that knee up over your shoulder. Left hand to the mat. And then start to kick. You want your gaze going up underneath your right armpit if possible. And then you have your same variations here. You can stay there for a little longer if you just... Hi guys, sorry about that. I had bad connection. So we'll pick up where we just left off, which was in compass pose. So your knee is up on top of your leg. You're pulling that heel up. So your first option, stay there for a couple more breaths. You've probably been there for a while at this point. Second option is your arm balance, Ashtavakrasana. So if you're taking your arm balance, hands to the mat, right ankle on top of your left, hook the ankles in, bring some weight forwards into your hands, lift the hips, kick through your heels to get active legs. Again, first option, stay there for a couple breaths. And then kick back into your vinyasa. You can skip all of this and just stay in your seat. Second option is that full variation into your extra arm balance. I'll see if this side of my body is gonna work for me in the attempt on this side. Ashtavakrasana first, kicking out through the heels, then unhooking the heels, pulling that right foot back and kicking it back into Kunanyasana, into your vinyasa. Whew. Super graceful tonight, guys. Super graceful. Once you've completed that, if you need a final vinyasa after all of that, take it when you've had enough, all the way through into a seat. The hard stuff is over. Most of it, kind of. So from here, you're coming down onto your back. So just take the knees into your chest and then roll back and down onto the mat. A couple deep breaths. And then preparing your first bridge pose. So release your knees, set the feet down. Feet about apart. Heels just out of reach of your fingers. Preparing bridge pose. We're going to take 2 back bends tonight. The first will be bridge. If you have another variation of bridge you want to take, go for it. I'm just going to take a pretty normal bridge. Your second one will be a deeper variation. Or not. It might not be. So from here, ground through the feet, lift the hips. Shoulder blades walk together. Hands can stay pressing into the mat. So one more back bend. If you have full wheel in a practice, go for it. My shoulder doesn't particularly like full wheel. However, I am going to take a deeper variation of bridge. This one I will talk you into a little bit. I know I've not done that for much of the class, but I will talk you a little bit into this variation. So this is a bound bridge, not just binding your hands, but binding with your ankles. Now for this one, I personally have to come out of alignment to get the hold, and that's okay if you need to do that. You want your hands to have a firm grip around the fronts of your ankles. Now when you lift from here, if you're going into full wheel, go there and enjoy it. If you're going into a regular bridge, go there and enjoy it now. If you're taking this bind, you want to pull your heels down, roll. You might come out of alignment just so long as you can get your heels back down and your knees pointing straight out again once you're lifted into that back bend. Keep a strong bind with the hands. Wherever you are, push through the heels so the chest is opening. One or two more. When you've had enough, release any binds you've got, one vertebrae at a time on your mat. Now from here, Supta Dandasana. Keep pressing your hands down into the mat and kick your heels straight up towards the ceiling. You don't want your lower back lifted here, you want it flat, so the knees might need to bend a little bit. Lower back is grounding down into the mat. Shoulder blades are rolling back and down as well. Coming into Halasana Plow Pose. Now you can modify this however you'd like to by staying on your back and taking a couple of other variations while we go upside down. If you're taking Halasana, push down through the hands, lifting your hips and your legs overhead. Hands can come onto your lower back to support your hips staying lifted. Shoulder blades walk together a little bit. Hands can stay on your lower back or interlace and reach out away from you. Next option is shoulder stand. Hands to your lower back if they're not there already, lifting the legs straight up. Then back to Halasana. And then Karnapidasana, bend the ears towards the knees, arms can release or maybe go overhead. If you're upside down, when you come out of this, you're just taking your time. So you can press your hands to the mat a little wider than the hips, keep your thighs close to your belly, and slowly roll down. Eventually let the weight of the legs pull you up into a seat. You can scoot yourself back onto your mat if you came forwards a bit, and then just come down into a really easy forwards fold. Relax the upper body and let everything soften and hang. And then coming back up to the top, lifting the chest. We're moving into fish pose here. So if you have a favorite shape of legs, I prefer lotus in my legs, so I will take that. If not, just reach your toes forwards and keep the legs straight. So whatever variation you're taking with your legs, take the elbows back underneath your shoulders. Lift up through the chest, lift up through the ribs and your belly, and then let the head drop back towards the mat behind you. Now your head doesn't have to get to the mat. It might not reach there. Your elbows might still be supporting. For some of you, you might not need the arms anymore. When you've had enough, you can release. And coming down onto your back, release the legs if you took any other variations of them. And then just draw the knees up into your chest. From there, release the knees, set the feet down just like they were in bridge. You're coming into twists. Shift your hips to the right side of the mat. We'll just do two options here. I think we've kind of tapped out all of the challenging options throughout the class. So we'll just do our two regular twist options. First option, knees stay together. Second option, right thigh crosses on top of your left thigh. Wherever you are with the legs, draw the knees to the chest, drop the knees to, and then drop your gaze to the right. We will be here for quite a few breaths, so feel free to adjust a little bit as you come into this. You can slowly start to come back to the center. If you need a few more breaths there, take them. That's absolutely fine. Just when you're ready, back to the middle and the knees draw into your chest. And then setting up the other side. When you're ready, feet down, your hips shift over to the left. Your left leg on top of the right if you're taking the bind. Knees to the chest, knees to the right, and then your gaze to the left. Again, adjust if needed. And then slowly start to come back to the center. Draw the knees in. And then prepare yourself for your Shavasana. If you need props, go ahead, grab them. If you have a favorite shape for your body, find it. Otherwise, the legs can release long. The arms can be by your sides, with the palms facing upwards. Close your eyes. Shavasana. Release the fingers and the toes. Release the ankles and wrists. The knees and elbows. Let the hips sink down into the mat as the legs flop open away from one another. The shoulders melt down. As your breath returns to normal. Your lips may slightly part as you release your jaw, letting the tongue come away from the roof of your mouth. Softening the space between the eyebrows. Softening the space behind the ears. Listening to sounds that may be around you. Letting them wash over your body. Creating stillness. Watching as your thoughts come in and out through your mind. Letting them finish. Letting them pass. Without creating any attachments to them. finding the space that exists inside your mind. And finding some peace. Slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circling the ankles and wrists. Rocking the head from side to side. Inhale to reach the arms overhead, reaching long through the fingers and through the toes. Exhale, draw the knees into the belly, wrap the arms around them, giving yourself one last big hug, rocking from side to side. Eventually winding up on the right hand side, using your right bicep as a pillow. Remaining in Shavasana with your eyes closed. And when you're ready, press into your left palm, coming up to any comfortable seated position. Palms may press together at chest center if you choose. May you take only what is offered. Take only what you need, and always give more than you take. Stay safe, stay kind, stay patient. Thank you. Namaste.